Man, welcome back to another episode of No Cap Sports. Super Bowl Sunday right around the corner. And TJ, I think you started out with something in your hand because I think there's a very special holiday right around the corner. You want to get into that, bro?
Oh. Yeah, Well, why don't you lead us off? Because you're the happily married guy in the group. So I just use this as a prop, and you let us know what we got to do, what the people out there got to do to to stay secure, and you let them know.
I mean, doing this show with two resident light skins. I ain't gonna say I'm not married, but I've learned a lot from you guys over these past, 3 years that have helped me get to the point I'm at, man. And I guess if I had to give one tip to the people, I guess. It's no time to bullshit. Like I said, Super Bowl right around the corner. People got money on them parlays. Valentine's right around the corner. It's all related, bro. So I say the number one thing, bro. No money on, no fun on, man.
Yeah.
Get your
Mhm.
money on up. Everything gonna take
Oh,
care of itself, man.
that ain't I'm down for that. Like you said, it's somebody that despite the 10-day conference that some of my friends was witnessing recently, I'm feeling that cost investment that you have for that particular holiday, brother. So I'm thankful for some games, but that game you dropped, that's applicable to all aspects of life, not just romantic. Come on, man. Like you said,
I mean,
if you ain't got no paper, it's just it's Gary Allison.
exactly, bro. I ain't ever seen a girl smile with a broke nigga, bro.
Mm, just like that. On God.
No cap. But shit, man. Like I said, we finally made it to Super Bowl Sunday. Unfortunately, the end of the NFL season, but what a season it has been. So, guys, the matchup is set. Seahawks, Patriots. Two teams who came into the year with 60 to 1 odds to be in the position they are in now. So, looking back on it, all of the hype for Josh Allen, could it be his year? All the talk about Lamar, could he finally, break the glass? Could the Eagles repeat? What are y'all just takeaways from the season and how we got to the point we are at right now?
I mean, I see a lot of parallels in what you look like. The finals just came off of OKC and the Pacers. Never the Pacers in my heart for Sam Darnold being in the Super Bowl um caused this point, but we're seeing that you know roster building and like you said, acquiring talent on multiple levels on both sides of the ball. That is like there's superstar quarterback, putting the team in his back. That is just not the way that successful teams are running 2025. Even with all the quarterbacks that you mentioned being out of this playoff, you look at these two teams right, and honestly, even the NFC Championship with a guy that was MVP candidate, we looked at both sides of the ball for the Rams and the Seahawks. A lot of people consider those the two best teams, left in the playoffs. So, just looking at this Super Bowl with two quarterbacks that, Drake, man, but not two traditionally successful quarterbacks. I think that my biggest thing is that you got to have a well balanced roster. The well balanced roster, the spread out of attacks, like you said, the roster, the evenly talented, evenly distributed talented rosters, those are the teams that are making it harder versus the team like you said we got the one man band of the QB.
Yeah, and I think, kind of talking about that, kind of like this new wave, we also saw a new wave of NFL coaches come into their first year with a lot of success. You look around the league, you got Mike Vrabel, who's a first year head coach. Mike McDonald's a second year head coach. You look further in the playoffs, you got Ben Johnson, first year head coach, gets his team to the divisional round. You got uh down in Jacksonville. Why did I just blank on his name?
Liam
You
Cohen.
got Liam
Cohen,
Cohen
yeah.
down in Jacksonville, first year head coach, takes the Jags to a division title. I want to say 12, 13 wins. There was just a plethora of good new coaches around the league, kind of showing that there are multiple ways to get things done. No disrespect to the Jets, we saw how that head coach hire went, but everywhere else, pretty much,
So
we saw.
so far, you might go Aaron Glenn so far. The cover is there, but I feel you. I feel you. You'll get a lot of love, so you gotta do my folks like that. But keep going, keep going.
No, I mean, like I said, bro, it's an impressive thing that Aaron Glenn did, going a full 17 game season, coaching a defense that didn't have interceptions. So, like I said, a lot of head coaches doing things that have never been done before, such as reaching the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, such as turning a 4-13 team into a Super Bowl contender. Like I said, this just new era of coaches has shown to be very successful and kind of brought a new way of thinking to the league, kind of like you alluded to, Josh. It's not a quarterback driven league anymore. Now it's a depth and complementary football is what gets you wins now.
And even going on like this, here you say kind of like all those coaches, like this is just like with all those coaches and like the coaching cycle. Um, like I said again, seeing like parallel to other sports, seeing this kind of overtake the sport right now with community Indiana. Like this culture stuff matters. Like the culture that your coach can set and kind of the ability to get more, like I said, be more than the sum total of your the sum total of your parts. Like that's a big thing. Like you look at, like you said, obviously Sam Donald, elevated or at least the play having the same play that we've seen from him from last year, without the balloon popping. There's not a lot of wholesale change. There hasn't been a whole lot of wholesale changes to that Seahawks year, that Seahawks roster from last year. Denver's roster was mostly the same as it was last year. So it wasn't a lot of sweeping changes that, like you said, a lot of the teams in the playoffs, other successful teams are now having. More so, like you said, internal like roster growth. You see a guy like in Seattle, they got discarded by the Rams, Ernest Jones being their best linebacker now. And yeah, like you have examples like that, all across the playoffs. So I think that you have like you said, complementary roster pieces, and that comes with a wide variety of like I said, really stacking your roster, not necessarily going all in on big time for accusations of, all going all in on you doing drafting. Like you said, you like these successful teams, they got a variety of different ways that they added to the roster and kind of built the teams they wanted. But all that comes, like I said, with the culture that your leader is setting, and it's not something that you can tangibly measure. But that stuff is, especially in the playoffs with the talent level, is most equal. You see that being the difference in the margin.
Kind of talking about some change and talking about this new era, we're seeing, as we alluded to, Sam Donald and Drake May go head to head in the Super Bowl. Now I want to start with Sam Darnold, drafted in that vaunted 2018 class with names like Lamar, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen. But, out of all of these names, Sam Darnold is the guy who gets to the Super Bowl first. So I want to ask y'all, starting with that 2018 class, and we'll go to the 2024 class later, but starting with that 2018 class, how has Sam Darnold being the first one to reach that bowl reshaped the way we look at that quarterback class? And far does it push it, and how far does it push Sam Darnold's name up in a sense of where we stack these quarterbacks now?
Let's see, Josh.
I think that when you look at from the standpoint of Lamar and Josh, who have probably been the two most talked about guys in the playoffs, if they had any wiggle room, any leash, I think it's effectively gone. You can look at it from the standpoint of it just being about their play. Like, let's say, there's a world where Sam Donald never happened. It's still on them, they've had these playoff failures, they've had these shortcomings. But then you look at a guy who has been ridiculed for the big games, and he was a bust and he was a reach, and, kind of left for dead in the quarterback market, if you will. Win 35 plus games plus the postseason. Talked about the big games. He's won 4 or 5 big games in a row. And if he's able to, seal the deal, I think it'll put a lot of heat on them more than they already have. When we talk about these guys, it's like, how could they possibly, get any more ridiculed? But they both had golden opportunities. The Ravens can't seal it in the end of the season to get into the postseason. The Bills run into a team, at least offensively, that we don't think too highly of, and they're not able to seal the deal with, every excuse we give these guys. We haven't really given Sam Darnold those excuses, but still, him and his team, really that's led by him, has found a way to show up. So I think it's unfortunate for them, but that's just how the quarterback position is. I think this will be not detrimental to their legacy because they haven't really built a legacy, but their excuses are effectively gone, even if they don't win this game. But I think him winning a Super Bowl, like, that'll really open up a wormhole for the guys that we look at as like, oh, the Mount Rushmore, the upper echelon, like guys who, no matter what they do, we don't move them, out of the top
Yeah.
four, like those guys that are cemented. whether that's for good or for worse. Especially with Mahomes, being injured, I think that might open up maybe not a spot, but what's the hierarchy like when we don't have that playoff postseason respect for Lamar and Josh and Burrow can't get there and Mahomes is they're retooling. So I think for lack of better words, it'll open up a wormhole, but we'll see if it'll be for the better or for worse.
And then Josh, I guess I'll come to you with the Drake May side of it, being a fan of a franchise in the Jets who have had their fair share of drafted quarterbacks come through the room. I don't know why the hell y'all didn't get one in 2024 because so far we've seen just about all of these quarterbacks shine, starting from the first one in Caleb to Jaden winning rookie of the year last year, Drake May making the Super Bowl this year. Bo Nix taking his team to the conference championship even though he didn't play. Michael Penix securing a starting job. JJ McCarthy being what JJ McCarthy is. As we look back at that 2024 class, Josh, how do you stack these quarterbacks up now?
Hey, brother, there's a fine line that you hit in the second half of those quarterbacks that you named that were mostly on the board for us. There's a middling bad team. I think it was 6-11, whatever. I think we were 6-11 that year. So I mean, Drake, Caleb, and Jaden, none of them were available. But I digress. Talking about it's one of the TJ point a little bit. I think that we don't think of quarterback normally a position that is fluid year to year in terms of not necessarily who plays the best, but the guy that is the top dog. Like last year, nobody would have came out started 2024 and said that Jackson Virginia was the best receiver in the league. What I think is, my opinion, is probably undoubtedly true now. And we don't usually get that level of flexibility, like fluidity, in the QB position. But I think, like you said, with some of the flaw that you pointed out with Josh Lamar's play, there does maybe need to be a little bit more credence in, not like Michael, what have you done for me lately? Who's playing the best ball right now? And not necessarily just, I feel like, honestly, Kansas City might have moved a little different if they were willing to, like I said, be more aggressive in addressing some of the holes in their roster instead of waiting on Mahomes to bet them out. We see that, Simon Dermott kind of laying the fate of the Bills and their private said directly at Josh Allen's feet with that defense and the lack of receivers. They got him fired. So I think that, it's being a quarterback in the NFL, especially highly drafted, is much more of a roller coaster and up and down kind of a affair than what we want to think of it as linear. But also, I think that we see, like you said, with a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold, the guy that was a castaway 3 times. I think that there is that mid-tier QB level. I won't say game respect because anybody that started probably got in the field, like they said, Steelers was getting $80 million a year to be a backup that could start a team. But I think that guys that can get it done as a starter, but not all your franchise guys, those guys will be way more highly valued. Depending on will already be with Sam Darnold done, but will be infinitely more if you can win a Super Bowl with a guy that's it, which we haven't had. Probably at least 10 years. So I think we talked about this before, TJ. Like that kind of Jared Goff adjacent kind of quarterback territory, like you said, you may not invest in him as a franchise quarterback, ironically for Jared Goff, but they'll win you the game. So, we tend to think of QB as kind of a boom or bust situation where this guy's a franchise guy or not. But I think the tier in Sam Darnold is in may become maybe you'll start to lose your bank or your buck trying to get those guys crazy.
Yeah, I mean, kind of going back to Sam Darnold, kind of thinking about just how he got to Seattle in the first place, talking about, tying this all together with this new age of coaches and Sam Darnold being overlooked, passed over so many times. They had Geno Smith, and Geno wanted out of Seattle, bro. And so that threw a whole wrench in their plans. And instead of, overpaying a guy like Geno, going out in the market, overpaying for a guy like, I don't know who was available at the time, but just overpaying for a quarterback, they went and paid a guy in Sam Darnold who has shown who has shown that he's extremely capable of playing that quarterback point guard position, like you said, led Minnesota to 14 wins last year, went out and put him on $100 million contract and really fleshed that roster out to the point to where they could be successful with him. And we kind of see that similar game plan going on with some of these quarterbacks drafted in 2024. You look at what the Commanders did coming into this season after making it to the conference championship with Jane Daniels last year. They went and spent all that money in free agency, traded for Laramie Tunsil, tried to make all of those, I would say, patchwork improvements on their roster to really compete in this window they're in now. Obviously, it didn't work for them the way they hoped it did. You know, obviously they didn't even make the playoffs this year. But you look at it from the Patriots side, the biggest spenders in free agency this year, and they're in the Super Bowl. So kind of like like I said, to put a bow on it, we're seeing that complementary football rise, and we're seeing the old way of getting a quarterback on that rookie deal and building a team, you know, while he's cheap in the Patriots. And we're also seeing that new era style of thinking of, hey, let's get a guy who can not lose us a game, but can, you know what I'm saying, maybe pull a cat out of the bag when he needs to, and a guy like Sam Darnold, and let's pay him a decent value, but let's not pay him so much to where we can't build a complete and total roster.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and like you said, the index shine is just the proper identification and labeling of the quarterback that you got. Like CJ Stroud, after his rookie season, a lot of people thought that he was, a top six franchise guy. Based on what we've seen from not even just the playoff, with the tough defensive plays, but most of the season, he may be more of a just like quality starter type of guy. Baker Mayfield this year, he even started out like a kind of guy that's been acting like a franchise kind of top 10 guy for a couple seasons. For the back half of the year, he kind of, even with his season coming back, he kind of reverted and looked more so like a quasi-capable quality starter, not franchise elevator type of guy. So I think the biggest thing is identifying, being realistic with what you got in your QB room and acting accordingly.
At the request of Vance, you know, as we kind of progress our way to talking about this game, Vance kind of mentioned in the chat earlier that, you know, I should go back through the Patriots season and kind of walk us through how we got here. And Josh, you know, obviously we played the
You
Jets
just you
twice, so I
just do
hope
whatever
this.
your friend say you do. Like what your mama say, if your friend jumps off a bridge, you gonna jump off a bridge too. That's how you feel. Yeah,
You want to go viral or
you'll
not,
follow it.
twin? Want to go viral or not?
Go ahead. Excuse the humor.
But
Like I said, I'm assuming in the same.
like I said, man, everybody here is gonna have, you know what I'm saying, a share, a stake in this because, like I said, starting out with this Patriots team, it really starts in the offseason. You know, all of the momentum, hiring Mike Vrabel, bringing in Will Campbell, back-to-back top 5 draft picks to pair with Drake May, spending the most money in free agency, Milton Williams, Carlton Davis, Robert Spillane, Harold Landry, Stephon Diggs, Morgan Moses, dropping all of that money in free agency to build a competent team coming into this year. We had no idea how it was going to turn out, but we had a feeling that things were different with the Vrabel at the helm. We went into this offseason feeling confident, new leadership, no more Gerard and Mayo. We're going in the right direction. And lo and behold, week 1 starts, and the Raiders beat us. Raiders beat us. First 3 games, we go,
So joyous.
oh,
And then you just casually dissing the black men out of leadership. But go ahead, keep going. I'm loving
Yeah,
it.
just threw them all the way under the bus. That's fucked up.
I'm talking about did that shit so smooth, it was grief on my nigga's back. But it's okay. You keep going, bro.
I mean, he was a better linebacker than he was a coach, bro. I'm just going to leave it at that. But like I said, we started the season 0-1. Give credit to Gerard Mayo since y'all said I was hating. He started last year 1-0. He didn't win too many games after that, but he started the year 1-0. So this year's team, we start 0-1, losing to the Raiders. Obviously, we didn't know the Raiders were going to be what they were at the end of the year. Come off of that, a Miami game where we need some heroics from Antonio Gibson to get the dub. I don't know if y'all remember the Malik Washington punt return touchdown. AG answered with a kick return touchdown. That kind of sealed the victory for us. I think if AG didn't return that kick, we don't win that game. So follow that up with a loss to Pittsburgh, 5 turnovers, but 364 yards of offense resulted in a 21-14 loss. Is that a loss you can learn from? I think so because, like I said, you don't turn the ball over 5 times. You probably win that game. That Pittsburgh offense didn't do anything impressive. We outgained them by over 130 yards. And for me, I think this game was really a significant turning point in our season because one of the biggest things from that game was Ramondre Stevenson fumbling twice. and Mike Vrabel said, Ramondre's our guy. And not to foreshadow too much, but we see how Dre been toting that rock in the playoffs, man. So I think that game was a very major turning point for us. And from there we went on to rattle off 10 straight, beat Bryce Young ass. But the biggest game to me was Week 5 at Buffalo, Sunday Night Football.
for
To
sure.
me, that was the night that Josh Allen officially became Drake May Jr. Turned the ball over twice. Stephon Diggs had his welcome to, or really his Patriots welcoming party. He had 100 yards prior in the prior week versus Carolina, but he went off for, I want to say, 10 receptions, over 140 yards versus Buffalo. It was a real big FU to Josh Allen, in my opinion. And I think it was a very big game for the Patriots to get that win. And mind you, this was a Buffalo team coming into that game that was 4-0. So getting a win, staying alive in the division race proved to be a very big moment for that Patriots team. And I think that was a moment that really let Patriots Nation know, like, hey, we might be back for real. But after that game, we went on the no cap sports, I would like to call it, belt to ass store starting down in the boot, where Kayshawn Bootsy had a fucking day. With 93 reception yards, 2 touchdowns. Went down to Tennessee, did the same thing to Cam Ward and them boys, dropped 31 on them. And then, couple of weeks went by, big time game versus Atlanta, squeaked out of that, but that showed me a very key point in that game was that offense only scored 3 points in the second half, found a way to win, survived some late game heroics from Michael Penix and Drake London. You ain't gotta hate, brother. You ain't gotta hate. It's okay.
I feel like this is the whole purpose of me like being here, listen to this is me and TJ. This shit, we're just corners. Like this is two captains.
Look,
Y'all,
look,
y'all,
Josh. Let's let him finish and we'll get off because I got something. We'll let him go and then we'll get off when he done. We'll get off.
Damn.
but nah, I'm
Okay.
glad you spoke up because after we made it out
And
of Atlanta.
I just made a face. I just say anything. That was
Okay,
go ahead.
you made a face, but after we made it out of Atlanta, guess where the belt to ass tour went next? Thursday night football, the New York Jets, man. And the 27-17 game on paper might not look like it was that dominant, but it was that dominant when you're quarterback, or maybe he's a running back. I don't know what we classify him as nowadays. But he only completed, I believe, 3 passes the first half. So dominant in that game. And during that game, I remember tweeting, a Jets butt fumble would symbolize that order has been restored in the AFC East. And while we didn't get a butt fumble, we got a Justin Fields dropped fumble, snap, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to classify it. But to me, that was my symbol that everything in the AFC East has been restored to order, and the Patriots are going where the Patriots have gone in the past. And so basically, from there, lose at Buffalo at home. I think that was a good wake up game, get us ready for the playoffs. But the last point in this Patriots season recap, regular season recap, beat the Ravens on December 21st. A very big game for Drake May. I want to say he had over 300 yards. But that game is significant because since December 21st, the Patriots have won as many games as the Titans have since firing Mike Vrabel, and that is 5 games. And so with that, the Patriots made it to the playoffs, beat the Chargers, beat the Texans, beat Lil City and the Broncos, and now we're here in the Super Bowl. Beautiful Santa Clara, California, man. Y'all don't look very impressed, bro.
Can't say I am.
Man, glad we got glad I was able to get through that.
You want with
Like, but
fuck, you want fucking with booty in the boot, bro?
I like I've been rocking with this team for a long time. The team that like you said, as a native Louisiana, I know you've been rocking with us for a long time. In the current state of our teams are constructed, let me not put words to say from my team personally. Like what your team is doing is bullying. Like oh my God, I got another white man leading me to the promise. And oh my God, my team is a racist oracle boy wonder genius. Got it. But with a team in my position like mine, like you're basically this high and mighty kid picking on a person that is redacted. So that's what you are. You are purely a bully right now. You're picking on somebody that does not have the means to properly. Yes, you, Mr. Wyatt Tillity. Yes,
I'm a
you.
bully.
Yes, you.
I,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
I think
Because
your anger is directed at the wrong person. You need to be mad at Woody Johnson for putting that bullshit football team out there
brother,
year after year again to get the belt.
I don't got nan podcast with Woody. Not YSL Woody, not my boy, not the little mega arm and a foreign part. Like I can't do Nathaniel about that. I'm just saying. I just want to put in perspective what that monologue, that performance, but that was bullying. That was bullying. Bullying to otherly able people. That's how I feel, CJ. How you feel? Like that was I didn't even get some went out. Like that was that was like that was feeding the lines of like defamation.
I had a couple notes. I had a couple notes.
Please, yeah.
First off, I don't like how you just skated past that Buffalo loss. Y'all blew it was like a
Oh yeah,
21 score. I don't. Okay, I'm just say this.
but I also want to throw a
And then
qualifier
the
on there,
recap,
bro.
like that was all
I
positive to me.
I
That's
want to
all
throw.
week 5. But that was the thing. That
Let's
was like an actual thing, like existential crisis type of situation. But
let's put an
you
asterisk
right,
on that
CJ. You
Buffalo
kind of
loss. Yes, we were up 21 at half. Buffalo got the ball first at a half, so it's like you up 21, but you also in a position to where that up 21 can easily turn into a one possession game just like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened.
Huh?
One score, one stop, you right back in the game, and that's what Buffalo did coming out the
so
half.
y'all just giving up points. That's just like okay, that's
We gave up
they fall
21.
on top
No,
type
we
shit.
for shit show gave that game up. We for shit show gave that game up.
Because
But also in
I
that
was
game, that Marcus Jones pass interference, whatever call they want to call that, it came back to haunt their ass with the Brandon Cook sketch. I just want to throw that out there as well. But what you was finna say, bro?
I was just saying because I was told that if I don't want to misconstrue the quote, but it was shit ain't sweet in Foxborough, and Josh them went and they got him one.
Nah, they,
The only other note I had was I just want to say might come back to bite me in the ass, but folks got lucky playing Spencer Rattler. I ain't want to get shut. You come back down here, we got something for that ass. So y'all lucked up. And mind you, they barely beat Spencer Rattler. Now Drake May was fantastic in that game. A win is a win. I'm team a win is a win, but they make box scores for a reason. Now they was one albino twisted ankle away from, you know, who's to say? But I ain't gonna hate. I'm just gonna, and Vance ain't here to defend himself. I feel like we using the term belt to ass too loosely in some of these scenarios, but
This point also like the working the league definitely very liberal. But like I said, I digress.
yeah.
Like
We won't rain on your parade because if this
I
was me,
mean,
I wouldn't want, as Josh referred to us as the lesser able individuals to be raining on my parade. So we'll let you have that, but for those at home, we can't let you spread blatant misinformation. Some misinformation. There was a little bit of not a little. There's a lot of bit of racism sprinkled. I counted a degradation of a black coach and a black quarterback within the span of like 2 minutes. So the viewers, we don't condone that. He wrote this on his own. We didn't see it. We didn't read it. We didn't. Yeah. So if we come under flack, y'all run it like Van say, rewind the tape. All I gotta say.
But like I said, matter of fact, we're gonna do it to where like I said, my face. If my face is the video for that, put your face in the corner. Just to, like I said, because they're gonna hear your voice and like I said, all like I said, non ethical opinion belong to King Vaughn in the bottom right. So we can refer to that. I'm not yeah, yeah. That is like you said, even talking about the family that you did live with, that is the just like the assumed degradation of one that covers the set. Like you just had to get them at the pace to do anything good. Meanwhile, again, how it is being black and brown in this country, laying the groundwork for
we just
doing
did
Larry
Jacoby
Bird.
Brissett a favor. We just got that fucking nigga employed in Arizona, and he had arguably the best career of his life. He should be saying thank you, New England. Thank you, Drake,
Y'all
man.
should thank you, Jacoby Brissett. You don't never know. It's
You right.
six one
We
way, six
appreciate
one
his
way, half a dozen.
Nah, for real. I mean, shit, he a two-time vet in New England, man. We appreciate his service.
You could say thank you, McCorkle, thank you, Bill. You can slice up however you want, but we arrived the same all of us. So well, y'all, I ain't gonna say we got to where we was headed. If this was the fucked up multiverse version of where the season was going in, once your boy spit on Dak and just opened up the upside down, and here we are. So
I ain't gonna lie, that's so crazy,
yeah,
bro. I forgot that was like the first moment of the season, bro. Spit on Dak, bro.
That was
yeah.
his NFL open. I mean, that was wild in the field, but it was crazy. Uh,
The game literally
Houston
hadn't even started.
Okay.
Houston, okay, see, how the NBA open. It was two wild openings to both professional
And somebody
teams.
got carted off on the kickoff. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah,
I
That
facts,
believe, yeah.
facts.
and the game had an hour and a half rain delay. Wow.
Yeah,
So
because
we
that
were
shit was in
already
Brazil.
And we always was in for some bullshit this year at winning it. I didn't even put like two and
Didn't
two
even
together.
see me. You're right,
That's
CJ.
crazy.
You're definitely right. So
Yeah,
you
man.
had that out the system. You had that pretty. That was a decent part of the scale. I'm glad. Like you threw up. You
I
good
mean,
now? You
I'm
good?
good, bro. I mean, my team literally went what 4-0 against everybody else team in here. So,
Okay, wait. Just want to put a little bit more rain on this parade, just a little bit because it's a little too sunny. So
all right.
Go ahead, King.
are we gonna let Drake May slide? Because I don't. I'm the guy typically outside of my own team. Like I don't usually let anybody slide for the most. I guess like that's part of like my identity. I
We
ain't
talking
really.
about for this little playoff run?
I mean, like,
No, but don't call it Lil now. Don't call it Lil now because it was
No,
just.
I'm not calling it little. I'm
oh,
not calling it
Don't
little.
call it Lil now.
But like you said, a win is a win, and he got 3 wins in the
Yeah,
playoffs so far. Am I right?
yeah,
I
And
mean,
he
the
yeah.
got 3 wins against arguably three top five defenses. Correct me where I'm wrong.
No, you're right, right. Like they're all wins are not created equally, and yes, context matters. But if this were anybody else, and you were the first up on, you had to, give the first lash, if you will, or throw the first stone. I think you'd be you'd be first in line. You know what I'm saying? Like this is so okay. In context, yes, bad weather, like more than bad, like that was two of the worst weather
Yeah,
games you'll ever
facts.
see. So yeah, let me put it in context. Let me do my due diligence. All right. So the first game, first half was bad, but a lot of the issues have been O line issues. Will Campbell, somebody that we were talking very highly of for a good part of the season, and proceeded to look like he had never taken a snap at offensive line in his life. So I think that was part of the issue. Drake May was very reckless with the ball in the first half of that game. Was very
Yep.
reckless given the elements in the second game. Now the reason we can't go full blown like get on his ass is because he's a large part of why they were there. So we have to give a little bit of grace, a younger player. But I don't want you to just be like, let's not put on our blindfold for a few games and then be like Drake May Super Bowl MVP, which he very well may win if they win the game. But
Yeah.
you are correct. There is important context. I will give you that. But 86 passing yards, if that was anybody else, you'd be the first one in line. And as
Oh,
would I.
I mean, we can say 86 passing yards, but we can also point to the fact that he had 65 rushing yards in that game, 66 rushing yards in the game versus the Chargers, and in the game versus the Chargers, he was the leading rusher. But when you look at Drake May, it's not so much as in this playoffs, it's not so much as we haven't gotten that full body of work from Drake May. We haven't
Yeah.
gotten that 200 plus yard performance, multiple touchdown performance that we were used to seeing from him in the regular season. Instead, what we've seen, and I kind of alluded to this in pretty much every preview episode we've done so far, we've got a veteran coaching staff in Josh McDaniels, in Mike Vrabel, and they've come up with a plan to where Ramondre Stevenson, you're gonna get a lot of carries, and we're gonna stay on schedule. We're gonna put Drake in advantageous situations. Like we saw it in the Denver game. We get the ball, after the steady fumble. Drake May, you're not throwing a pass. We're gonna go QB draw. We're gonna get this six. We're gonna play safe, not necessarily conservative football, but we're gonna, limit your mistakes because we got a defense that's playing to the level of some of the better defenses in the league right now. And I think when we talk about Drake, especially I don't even want to call them struggles in this postseason because you said like Will Campbell, you can't give up double digit pressures in 3 games. Like that's just something you can't do. Not many quarterbacks are going to be successful with their blindside protector giving up that much pressure.
Yeah.
But for Drake, like I said, he's found a way to be successful. He's made the plays when we need him. I think about that flea flicker to Mac Hollins in the Broncos game, some of those passes to Kayshawn in the Texans game, and just some of those runs in the Chargers game. Like he's made all the plays when we need him, but like you said, he hasn't put together that full, complete game. But to me, I have a feeling that's coming in the Super Bowl.
Okay. So you're not
Well,
willing.
no, he said a lot of different words to say no. We're not gonna hold him accountable for this.
I'm holding him accountable, but it's also like, God damn, what more do y'all want from him, bro? What more do y'all want from him?
Wait.
I
Okay.
mean, I
Can
got
I
one
answer
answer. So
that?
you don't want me to have you. The one thing I will say that I have appreciated about his game being so young is that a lot of times we see it like the conversation that we had earlier about like about turning the Campbell conversation, guys that go with the game versus guys that are game managers. you don't usually see, especially guys so young, that is able to kind of his play style be so malleable based on the conditions. And what does he call them? Usually those guys that are like franchise guys, franchise lifters. They don't like that they can't really kill it down. So that's the problem we saw with James Winston. Ironically, a guy like Sam Donald before, even a guy like Matthew Stafford for a long time. It's like, okay, we need to just not make bad decisions to take the ball. Like run point guard. That's not a, they kind of like, it's almost like Jim Carrey the man kind of fighting to get that bad, throw that bad decisions out of there. And I haven't seen it for him. So I mean, it's kudos to him. And like you said, he ain't played last year. But it is, like I said, it is a skill to be out of the way and be what your team needs to give you at a certain point. So that is not a skill to be over time. And with that, that is the most positive Patriots propaganda that I got.
And to his credit too, like we've seen a lot of quarterbacks in this playoff lose games. Think about CJ Stroud, multiple interception games, things like that. Drake has only thrown one pick this playoffs. Like to me, he's playing.
They won.
Am I true? Did he throw more
Yeah,
than one?
he threw a Hail Mary pick in the Brock, and he
Okay.
threw a pick. He had a tip pick in the so I guess
Yeah.
you might
Two.
not count that as
Yeah.
a freak accident pick, but yes. Let's call it one with a asterisk because like you can't really control bad tips and the fumbles. To his credit, or I don't know if it's credit, it must just be Patriots bullshit voodoo. Half of them aren't even lost fumbles; they just hit the ground and picked them up. That would only happen to the
You
Patriots.
know, he was
So
out there dribbling for sure. He was at
But
three,
he
yeah, three
has had
fumbles. So
some missed throws. I've seen missed throws, balls in the dirt that have been concerning. But like I said, like there has been some noise made about a shoulder injury and things like that. But I think with 2 weeks playing in San Francisco, you know, good elements for this game, I think we will see the return of this Patriots offense, especially this passing game that we've been used to seeing all year. I just think that we kind of just had to get it out the mud these first 3 games, just to be completely honest. Not to say I'm not concerned, but
I feel like we were approaching a more fair answer than where we started. So that's progress. I feel like we're getting a little bit closer to the where we're trying
true,
to get. So
but
I'll take it. I don't
yeah,
know about Josh. So I don't want to speak for Josh.
I mean, I think a lot of this challenge for Drake May, whether he struggled or not, however you want to classify it to this point, he's gonna be facing a monster in that Seattle defense in this
Yeah.
Super Bowl. So for y'all, I just want to see what do y'all think, obviously the Seattle defense I think we would rank as the best unit in the Super Bowl, Seattle offense,
Yes.
Seattle defense, Patriots, whatever.
Yeah.
Who's that second best unit? Is it that Patriots offense or who's that second best unit coming into this game?
I was close skeleton and decided to say like that Patriots run game. We talked about like the resurgence reminder with these bad weather games. He's exactly the type of big back that you need. Kind of just 3 yards on the side of dust. And more so, it's definitely probably not the most dynamic. Um, like I said, the second most dynamic unit out either offensively or defensively. Yeah, you could probably with Jones and Gonzo, you could probably the defensive secondary could probably be more dynamic in the run game. But that is just like I said, what you need to play football and the attitude, the intangible stuff, the cultural stuff that I talked about earlier. That's how Babel wants to play. So with a lot of coaches that you will see, we saw a lot with Mario Cristobal. Like I said, that run game is being so effective, you abandon it. You want to get you want to get your quarterback involved for lack of a better term. Vrabel doesn't really he doesn't really get into that. So like the way that he played, the coach that he said, even if it's not necessarily producing these first down runs, like I said, he knows enough that three. He said that you said three or four. That's 10. That's a first down. So
Fact.
I think that is maybe like you said, second best and more effective. Maybe that's not the flashiest. Because I don't think I think my Patriots team is tapped out. But I think that'll be if they can consistently switch out behind the tape, I think that'll be the biggest one they have. I think that could be the biggest priority for their Seahawks defense.
I mean, we didn't did a lot of talking about Drake May, man. And I don't want to turn this into the Drake May, love fest. But
Yeah, you
at
do.
some at some point, bruh, we got to talk about Sam Darnold versus Patriots defense because this Patriots defense, I think, is arguably the best unit that we've seen in this playoff so far. only giving up
Mm,
what, 8 points a game?
no, no,
Oh, type shit, type shit. I
no,
shut up.
not at all. I mean, I didn't know the best. If I thought it was the first or second best defense, I would no. That Seattle defense and then that Texas defense. Just because I mean
I'm
Chase
gonna
Young is cool
say,
and all that, but those tackles they got, no. So I'm like, I was gonna let you live, bro. I was gonna let you live. I wasn't gonna stupid you, but you just had to get off.
yeah, we can't let
So
you.
not only that, your turn is strictly for record. TJ, what's the second most impressive unit in the Super Bowl for you? You in top. You in the penalty. I'm in the aisle, bro. All the hockey shit. You in the penalty box. TJ, go.
Okay,
Do it
so
for 3 minutes.
I was thinking in theory it would be the Patriots offense, but in practice, I think it's been Seattle's offense just because they've been an absolute machine these last two games. So off the top of my head, I think it was what 41 and 31 points. Do I have that something
Yeah,
like that? So that's
41 versus
72.
San Francisco, 31 versus the Rams.
All right. I know a little something, All right. So that's 72 points. I think a guy that we haven't talked about a lot is Kenneth Walker. I think he's been the best offensive player in the playoffs that we haven't spoken about. We were going about JSN and Stafford and Puka, and we saw, good display from Kyron and Devontae, but I think he's been the best player that we don't talk about. I think it's a shame that Charbonnet had to get injured for the coach, the OC Clint Kubiak to see that this committee thing, it needs to be situational. It does not need to be actual practice that we do. Like, oh, we have to get in. I think they misused or misunderstood what a committee back is. A committee back is a luxury. It's not an expectation. It's not a requirement. Like you have the ability to use a committee back if needed to, but I don't think it should be able to thwart what you're doing. But you can see, his ad lib game and the swing game, the screen game, the way he runs, the way he breaks tackles. Sam Darnold playing that point guard role, and I joked about it in the group match. But he's a in the red zone. He's a 99. I'm talking about tight windows, off schedule. He's way better in the pocket than you think. I
No
think he's a
cap.
better athlete, a better processor than you might think. Really, a lot of times, the only thing that we can say about him is a whole big game thing, but I feel like he's been able to shake that off with, four of the biggest games that you'll ever see, all division games, interestingly enough, but a win is a win, and that's all NFL comp. So I would say it's not by much. It's not like it's glaring to me, but based on performance, it is glaring to me because of the what I will call struggles. I know you might frame it differently, but I will call struggles of Patriots offense, whether that be to defensively, context wise, whether it be elements, but as a professional organization, we can't coddle them and say, oh, well, they played a good defense. I think basically every defense in the playoffs except for what do we want to say? Carolina was a great defensive unit. Like we could literally have gone
The
basically every
The Rams too.
and maybe Chicago. I don't consider Chicago a great
The
defensive unit.
Rams too. You just don't want to say the Rams, bro. They gave up 400 yards a game across the playoffs, bro. And they've been terrible on the back end.
Okay, but they were lights
And
out
that's
against Chicago. They were lights out against Chicago in the big game, and I would say what was the other game they played? They didn't play well against Carolina.
But that's my thing. Like talking about Sam Darnold, and y'all know I'm the biggest Sam Darnold fan, bro. And I never want to take anything from Sam Darnold because his story alone to this point is phenomenal. But when I look at Sam Darnold, I also gotta ask, that same question of I've seen a lot on Twitter, who have you beat? And when I look at this Rams defense, that's to me the best defense he's faced on paper over these past few games he's played. And that to me is not a very good defense. That's the defense that gave up 417 yards to Chicago, over 160 yards on the ground, and the Seahawks were able to repeat that formula when the Rams came up there. Like you said, K9 got off with a big day on the ground. Sam Darnold threw for 300, which honestly wasn't on my bingo cards. 300 is a phenomenal game from a quarterback. But I say all of that to say that I think the Patriots defense, like we talked about, we can't coddle the Patriots for playing good defenses. We also have to hold Sam Darnold accountable for not playing the best defense. We've seen how much the 49ers have lost. We've seen like I said, the Rams fall off throughout the year on the defensive side of the ball. We have to hold him accountable for that as well, even though he has played lights out football.
I mean, if you talk about what they said on Twitter, Drake May is in the Super Bowl with 86 American passing yards. The winner's the win. Then you can only play who's on your schedule.
Yeah.
It swings both ways. I mean, I think the biggest thing is relative to expectations. It doesn't matter who the defense is being for Sam Donald in the playoff game. We're in a close game, end of the year game before fast for 18 months. There's been self combustion. So the fact that he's been able to not only avoid that, but makes him to be a driver of winning and just over 3 yards the past 2 games. I think that is something to got a little just residue on him. That's how I like to see it in my delusional mind. But no, I think that like you have to consider the Steelers turn. Like this is a guy that, like you said, 14 wins last and started that was cast away just because of that fear that you can get over hump with him. So I said, I kind of feel you. But like I think we had to remember what we were expecting from him going to the year, who this guy is, who his current has been. And like you said, where we at, regardless of the outcome, regardless of how to get. Yeah, this is like a humiliation. Division, former quarterback.
Not even just former quarterback too, bro. Y'all drafted Leonard Williams too, and he arguably the best player on the Seahawks defense.
He's leaving the same. I think it's a little different. I wanted that same thing for Quentin Williams. As much as we love that thing, next to Dallas, but we have like a guy like that kind of was a cornerstone stable defense. You almost feel good for those guys. Almost, almost. You almost feel good for those guys to go out and box and just elsewhere. Because you like to see, at the end of the day, you want to see damn good football players be able to contribute to winning football. And yeah, we be holding niggas back. Like you ain't gonna sit fans bust back. So shout out Big Little Williams. Guy paid, like you said, and so he's able to expose himself to the rest of the world how they were good.
But kind of talking about Sam Darnold and this matchup with the Patriots. One of the things Sam Darnold will never be able to get rid of from his legacy was that seeing ghost moment, when he was with the Jets playing against the Patriots. And I just want to, you know what I'm saying, just throw these numbers out. Just let me know what y'all think, bruh. Sam Darnold's career versus the Patriots. First game 2018, 164 yards, sacked 4 times, no touchdowns. Second game 2019, 34% completions, 86 yards, 4 picks. 2021 still with the Jets, 226, touchdown, 2 picks, sacked 3 times. And then 2021 with the Panthers, boy oh boy. 48%, 172 yards, 3 picks. That capped off a 1-5 stretch for him after winning his first 3 with the Panthers. And that was his last game playing for the Panthers, or his last game starting for the Panthers at the beginning of the season, as they turned to Baker after that. So, do y'all think Sam Darnold can put all of that in his past and conquer the ghost that once, you know what I'm saying, made his life hell in New York? Even though, obviously different staff, different team, all of that.
I want to hear your take, Stephen. This is a quarterback in the motor your preferred field. So please expound.
Oh, you want me to go?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
I mean, I think you kind of said it at the end, like different staff. Like
Yeah.
you said, well, the first one was that 8 years ago? Oh, come on, like
That's actually, I ain't gonna lie, bro. That's actually crazy. We owe this folk, bro.
yeah, 2018. It was not 2 years ago. I know it feels like it was, but it is not.
No, it's not.
Um,
Damn,
you
that is
know,
it. 2018.
2018 closer to 10 years ago than it is to 5.
Dog,
Um,
that
Bro, I
that
heard
my
Tyrese
heart,
you
my
Maxey
heart.
say
I
he was
can't
in the
lie.
league for 7 years yesterday. That fucked my head up too.
know, Lamar been in
Wow,
the league for 10 years. Damn near. This will be his 10th season next year. Yeah.
bro.
Okay, you know
Nah,
what? You know what? How about this? I'll bite. I'll bite. Um, I think one thing that we don't think about, like a lot of these NFL guys, is like we forget that they are real people. So let's play devil's advocate. Let me play your sick little game, Nicholas. I'll play your sick game. Let's say that he might think about these things. You never know. These guys read tweets, they read headlines. We might think of them as these invincible figures. That so maybe in some far off world he thinks about that, and it's just one of those things like the whole Sabonis AD thing in the NBA. Like there are these weird things in sports that like it may seem completely made up, but like somehow they just like the whole Kirby Smart Nick Saban thing. Like
Facts.
not
And that's what I
yeah.
was getting at, bro.
So there, okay, so yeah, I'll buy it. There are these things in sports that are sometimes almost unexplainable, and certain teams can't beat a certain team on Thanksgiving, and the Lions haven't lost back-to-back games in 5 years. Like there are these things in sports that we might not think of, but the football psyche and especially the quarterback psyche, I guess, can be very fragile, particularly weak, and he does not have what we consider to be a strong mental pedigree as far as we know, because he was, I don't, not to be, disparaging Josh, but like that probably took a mental toll on him, being a high draft pick and being left for dead. So maybe that's somewhere in there. Maybe he sees that uniform that he hasn't seen in a while and he knows. And suddenly he's back to that kid in the Meadowlands, and he's back to, who knows? Who knows? I think it'll be purely speculation. I don't think it'll have any effect on him, but I do want to see through your argument. I'm sorry, I want to see your argument through and say that yes, there could be a scenario where that's just, you know, what's the thing on TikTok? Daddy take me in there and beat my ass. He said, "Go to bed, boy."
Wait.
Daddy get through eating. He said, "Go to bed." But like, yeah, I'm gonna tag y'all in the video. But they're just about these teams, it's Dallas with the 49ers and Packers, Bears, and Steelers. Like there are these things in sports you just can't control, and suddenly you're standing in front, deer in headlights. Who knows? I don't think so, but I don't think you're completely off base. But then again, we don't know what he's about to do. He's never played in a game of this magnitude. We feel like he's shaking that monkey off his back, but it don't take shit but a trip and a fall or a sack fumble, and then he's back in Vietnam. So who knows? Who knows?
And I mean, shit, we do got to give Sam Darnold his credit because I did throw the question out there, but at the same time, we saw him exercise one of his demons in real time. We
Yeah,
saw what the
yeah.
Rams did to him last year in Minnesota. Made him look real bad in that. What was it, the wild card game? So obviously, he had, as Vance alluded to, half of his interceptions versus the Rams in the regular season this year. And we kind of saw that page turn in the second half of that second Rams game, the one they won in overtime. And coming into this Rams game, he threw, what, six, seven interceptions to the Rams over his first two, zero with 300 yards and three touchdowns in this playoff matchup. I just got, like I said, I'm going to give Sam his due, but it's going to be a good game on the Super Bowl Sunday, man. So let's go on and get into these picks and predictions.
Is it gonna be a good game?
I
The line started at
like
open
that.
at 3.5. What you think, TJ?
I don't know. I'm just like the Super Bowl, in my experience, is one of the most volatile, unpredictable games. Like just from a who, let's just say we don't even, let's say we were blind and we couldn't see or hear what the teams were that were in the, we'd be like, okay, well, we've seen the Broncos get absolutely railroaded. They get 40 points dropped on them and score what, 9 points in that game. We saw an all-time team in Carolina lay an egg in the Super Bowl. We saw the Eagles, Jalen Hurts first time really in a big time playoff game. He outplayed Mahomes. We saw a team in the Bengals even get to the Super Bowl that we didn't even think so. And then last year, I guess I would toot my own horn. I was the only one that saw it coming, but really I was praying on the Chiefs' downfall. They got their ass kicked. So I don't
Yeah.
foresee anything like that, but we could be in for some foolery because this matchup, the last time this matchup was played, we saw all-time franchise-altering, ghosts in the stadium, haunting play that one of the most tragic plays, however whatever side you're on. Obviously, if you're not a Seahawks fan, it's not tragic for you, but that's the kind of thing that happens in these games. There's always we saw it, down here in the booth, the lights went off in the Superdome, so there you never know. So I don't anticipate no crazy 40-10 type deal, but who knows? It could be 6-5. Like who knows?
But the
Yeah.
I
6-5
don't.
Super Bowl nigga, I will cut the season off. No
I
cap.
mean, you just watched the 7-10 game in its entirety, did you not? That's only a safety and a field goal away.
Too fast. Too fast. I think honestly, I think like you said, like the volatility in the quality of the game. But I do think that we're gonna be in for a closer game than not, just because we don't have some of these like some of the Superman type that we see in past Super Bowls, like in Mahomes, like a Hurts when the pressure's on. like a Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford. We don't have like in the quarterback position. We don't have those guys that we hey at least literally run away on with this game. So I'm thinking if nothing else, I'm expecting the close game.
Yeah, I mean, kind of to your point, I'm expecting just a real just a real football game. I know that sounds crazy as hell because obviously it's going to be a football game, but this is going to be a game that's about field position, who can play better complementary
Uh,
football. We see how both of these teams got here, and I don't see anything changing in terms of their formula to success. In the Super Bowl, these are two teams that want to run the ball, play good defense, take advantage of your mistakes, and simply just play, uh, smart, married football. So, who y'all got, man?
not like y'all know I just moved. I would have ran it and got my Revis jersey. But if you think as a red blooded New York metropolitan city Jackson, I'm gonna pick the fucking Patriots. Nigga, you're split. um, man, it's gotta be enough. Like I just really can't see a position where they're not saying this. I will go 2016 Seattle.
God damn it.
Two touchdowns and two field goals. That sounds about right. Like I said, one little broken ribs, one touchdown off broken coverage, one touchdown with Sam actually goes to do something. Two red zone strips. One he nearly throws away, but they get three out of another when they drive in. I just think that, yeah, I mean, like I said, that is defense ain't gonna better say this time, little Drakey. So join the Drake planner list, nigga. White boy, the second white boy on the list. So that is my scoop take.
See, that was where you leaning, man.
I was thinking more low scoring, but that doesn't feel right. I feel like this is like when I was speaking about volatility, like for some reason the first thing that usually goes is defense. Like if this is a game where, we want an offensive test match, the first thing going out the window, and for ratings sake, of course, ratings and gambling sake, the defense is going out the window first. So I'm thinking I feel like 30 points each is a little too high. But like shit, Mike, I feel like 31-30
Mm.
Seattle and like a late roughing the pass on Sam Darnold, maybe like a low hit or somebody hit somebody out of bounds, and kind of like that Super Bowl 3 years ago where it was the bullshit rough PI on Boo Boo Schuster and they got in the field goal range. I feel like something like that is gonna happen. So like I feel like 31-30 is too high, but that sounds like cool enough to be like I'm gonna go 31-30 Seattle.
I like the pick. Oh, I don't really like y'all picks, but I like kind of, the way y'all saying the game gonna go. But to me, when you think about Super Bowl, you also got to think about who is the halftime performer, man.
I almost had a crazy though, dog.
You
Um,
said what?
man, that stuff in Minneapolis is not right. That's all I'm saying. I had a crazy.
But
I forgot
anyway,
one.
Bad Money performing the halftime, America's best lockdown, Latin American and Christian Gonzalez
Interesting word
playing.
choice right there. Got it. Got it.
Like you said, bro, we got to be careful with the times we in now, bro. You never know.
Mhm.
You never
It's
know. But
true.
we got Latin Americans best lockdown and Gonzo on our side, man. I can see, Vance alluded to this. He kind of called it early on with Trayvon Diggs being a dumbass, jumping some shit. Tariq Woolen is gonna be the clown of the day on Super Bowl Sunday, bro. Kayshon Boutte might have two touchdowns again, and they both might be on Reek. Because we saw him have a couple of moments in that Rams game, and I think he gonna get tried. And Drake May, obviously we know, best deep ball passer in the league this year. I think he gonna get him one on Reek. So I think that'll be the difference in this game. And so I like that 31 points for the Patriots, but give me like 31-24 Patriots. I think Seahawks get a late chance to try to come back and get a win, and I don't think they that chance amounts to anything because Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Caleb Von Chason, they get home, get the job done, man.
Now, Nick, the individual you just mentioned has a a taste for a certain activity um, that is non-conducive to football success. Mind you, this is the biggest game of the year, often sponsored by a certain gambling company that starts with an F and ends
Oh,
and
oh,
Google.
oh, the
So I
crazy
just want
allegations.
they aren't false though. He was investigated, so I'm not just making this up. Certain individual has a certain taste for a certain thing that is again non-conducive to the success of his own.
That's messed up,
Uh,
TJ. This is like calling out your coworker that went through AA. That's messed up. I'm gonna let this is your
I'm
point.
just saying.
Like it's not let it rock.
I'm
This
just
is
saying.
wild.
Let me finish. And now, yes, the matchup was correct. Tariq Woolen, a guy who had success early on, but he's been susceptible to big plays. But maybe the person he's going against has an interest in big plays not happening. I won't say one way or the other, but that's why there are three other receivers. You never know. So just want to put that out there.
I mean, you're not lying, bro. We got three other receivers, and I know Diggs gonna be there, and I know for sure if goddamn, who doing the Super Bowl this year? NBC.
Yeah.
If they want to
Yeah.
beat the racist allegations, Cardi B better be on the screen as much as Taylor Swift was. I know that much.